All right, so once again, thank you everybody for joining us. Today we are talking about how to power up your member accounts, specifically profile management and new linked account features. If you do not do so already, make sure you give us a follow on social media where you'll see all types of exciting tips and tricks. You can see we got a little Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn there for you to go ahead and check us out on. So, specifically, what are we talking about today? We're going to be talking about member management, all things that are related to that member profile and the best ways to use them. Then we're going to talk about a couple of new features we have, such as removing login credentials for patrons, and potentially the most exciting conversation of the upcoming hour, our new linked accounts feature. We're very excited to bring that to you and show you all the possibilities with that. For those of you that have been around here before, I am Andrew. I will be your link researcher, also your friendly moderator today. Jen is going to be our presentation specialist here. She'll be the one telling us everything we need to know. She's also our missing link for today's presentation. We both work in the support team, so if you email us or give us a call to support, there's a good chance you'll get one of us, and we are always happy to help you out. As I was mentioning, that support team. For any questions you have today on any of the topics related, please go ahead and write them in the chat that we've been using already, and I will either answer those when they come up or Jen will answer them when we have a break in the presentation. For any non-presentation related questions, please go ahead and email us at support@recdesk or give us a call at that phone number you see on your screen there. We also have an amazing support center with step-by-step guides that Jen will be showing you later on in the presentation today. And with that, Jen, are you ready to take us away?
Yes. Thank you everyone for joining us today. So we're going to go over some things that for those of you who have been with us for a while, they may be things you've heard before, things you're already aware of, or maybe refreshers. You've been with us for a while and you did not need this item once upon a time, but now you're thinking about it. And then for those of you who are new customers, you may get some ideas as well for best practices for how to start using the system. So I'm going to first go into a profile so I can go over some pieces of this. First of all, this member ID spot. This is the barcode spot. So those of you who are using barcodes to scan members in and out using our check-in piece of the system, that's where that barcode piece goes. Please keep in mind for those of you who use access control, that is not where your access control information is going to go. Your access control information will go on a secondary tab. And then a lot of these fields are what we call core fields, such as the first name, last name, date of birth, gender. And as you note here, you'll see that I have more options than just male and female. We will be going over as a reminder where you're able to add more of those options in the future. Address information, email, additional emails, phone numbers, including work phones and mobiles, emergency contact information, private, public notes, and private notes. Now, please note that if they are making their profile themselves, you're probably going to see some login credentials here. And if there's any notes here that they wanted you to be aware of, such as a severe allergy, this is where they may post that information. Now, I'm going to scroll up for a moment because I want to bring up something that we do like to go over. Some of you use grants and other funding, and due to that, you need to gather the race and ethnicity fields, or those of you who use silver sneakers or silver and fit, those type of options. You need to gather that information. And it's much easier if you tell us that you would like that field to be part of a profile than it is for you to gather it later on something such as a flex form and having to constantly regather. All you need to do is tell us. Email support@recdesk.com, or if you're still working with your onboarder, you can let them know. Just let them know the name of the field, such as race or ethnicity, and what options you allow as to come back. For anything that you allow open-ended fields, such as silver sneakers, where it's going to be a specific number that they're going to be assigned. For something like that, you're going to be able to tell us you just want the field called silver sneakers. Now we can make this a field where they never see it or they do see it, but they can't fill it out because only your staff can. So as you can see, there's a couple of options that we've got going on there. And we can put them in a few places. We could put them under gender, under the first address. Is it phone number or email? My brain forgot which of the two, Andrew.
I believe it is email.
Under email, and then under notes. So I know that we have some of you organizations who asked for a couple of questions because you're not exactly a recreation department. Maybe you're a teen center, or maybe you're specifically for a pool or some other type of environment like a school setting. If you have additional fields that you'd like to track on profiles, under notes is generally where a lot of you tend to add them. And each field is specific. So if you want some to be answered by the customers, we can do that. But if others need to be by staff, we can do that as well. So just email us at support to let us know. Now I am going to hit cancel because obviously this profile has been made. And I'm going to go over one other piece, which you can see right here. I have a tag on this profile as a vendor. These tags are going to be able to help you in the future if something like knowing who my vendors are, because it's not a program or a membership that they sign up with, I can tag their profiles. This tag allows me to filter not only on the members list, but when I'm doing bulk email campaigns. And to add more tags, or if you'd like to add more genders, you just go to your admin tab, manage custom lists, and under other, you'll find both manage tags and manage custom genders. Please know that when you manage tags, you need to state whether it's going to be for member profiles, for facilities, or if it's for personnel volunteers, so your instructor and your coaches. Only only the assistant director and the director are able to update these fields. They can also go to the admin tab and settings, and you can change which core profile fields you want the public to fill out. So if I click edit, maybe I don't want date of birth to be required. It's not a big deal. I don't have age restricted programs going on. I can make that a not required field. Here, I already made emergency contact required. I can also make the phone number required. Maybe I only want to make it required when it's in-house, not online. This is all going to be something that you can choose. So for those of you who have a lot of seniors, if your seniors don't have emails and you're creating a lot of profiles, you may want to make it so that the email address is not required on director only. This way, when they come in and you're making the profiles for them, you don't need to enter an email address. But if they make it on the community site, we do recommend that you require an email address, more so that if they forget their password, they can just do the password reset process on their own. Now, before we get into some other fun items, do we have any other questions?
Hey, Jen, when you were talking about the notes there, we did have a question. Can anybody see those notes, or what's the difference between that private note and the other one?
Anyone can see these notes. In fact, they are exportable fields, such as for your program rosters. Please note, though, private notes are only visible to staff. So that is a great place for, let's just say somebody was naughty. They're banned from the center for 2 weeks. You can come in here and you can put a note in here and saying that member is banned. So once you get your note put in, we can save it. You can even suspend this profile if it's truly because they're being naughty. Right now, we're not going to do that because I want to keep playing with Abominable, and I don't want to suspend the profile right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen. And then for any other questions that you guys may have, please go ahead and write them in that chat. We'll be happy to answer them on breaks like we are now, or answer them throughout the presentation in the chat as well. Back to you, Jen.
Thank you. So now I want to go over how to add photos to profiles. Now I know I'm going to get laughed at for this, but we're going to use that new bear photo. Florida bear. He's got 3 legs. Sorry, everyone. So once you've got your photo all cropped out and selected, now please note you can use a camera to take live photos. I'm just not going to do that because I like having fun with my animal images for the PowerUps while I can. And I hit save. This image is not only going to be visible when I'm checking this member in and checking them out. We have the option, if you'd like, we can turn on a feature so they can see their own photo from their community profile as well. There's a few options that are available to you for that. Some other things to be aware of are the CRM Plus pieces. Now, I did add some items earlier, so I'm going to make a joke. Abominable Snow Monster is our joke and little nod to the Yeti, our missing link. We added a joke in here earlier where we were just making sure staff members were aware that this particular member smells bad and it brings snow inside. Now, this made sure that it emailed that member. When you mention someone here on a note, it's going to message them. If it's for a situation such as that example, this person was naughty, they were suspended, I can assign the task to unsuspend profile to either myself, to a coworker, however that makes you feel comfortable, whatever works for your staff. This is really the big deal here. I don't necessarily need to notify user by email for this piece, but I'm going to do it anyways. Now what will happen is when I log in as this user and I look at my dashboard, I'd be able to see a task to unsuspend this profile. And documents. This is great for those of you who need to keep certain type of documents on file at all times. Some of you it's residency, some of you it may be more sports related, but we're just going to go into the ones that aren't filled out through a flex form. You can come here and hit upload document, and you can either drag and drop or find it locally. But we'll grab my other bear. And now I have two items here. I've got my awesome lazy bear. And I've got the missing. I've got this super fun image here. Now, before we get into the new pieces of the profile, are there any questions?
Yes, Jen, we do have a few questions for you. Could you show us how we can add a picture to different people in the household?
So when you hit select and go to the other people in the household, you'll just hit change photo. And if you're taking a photo, you would activate your camera or upload a picture.
Perfect. Thank you, Jen.
And we'll use my dog for this one.
Great photo, by the way.
I promise everyone, he is perfectly fine. He just wanted a piece of chicken.
Another question for you, Jen. Someone's seen those opt-in pieces down there. What are the defaults for the opt-ins for bulk email and text messages?
Oh, that is actually a great question. And I'm so sorry I skipped over that. Default for these are opt-in for bulk emails will always be defaulted as on. Please know that what ends up happening is if this member unchecks it and saves it on their own profile, they just won't receive bulk emails. They will still be notified for programming correspondences, things like that when you're emailing a roster. It's just not the bulk email piece of the system that will pull them. Also, if you don't allow them to edit their profiles and somebody has that unchecked, just be aware that that's the system doing its job. That means that at some point in time, they received a bulk email from you and they selected an option to unsubscribe for future alerts from you. So it would uncheck that box. When it comes to text alerts, it's a little bit different. Number one, they need to enter a value here into the mobile phone. Then they need to select their carrier. If you see it, if your public uses a carrier that you do not see on this list, please let us know. We'll be able to look into if it's a carrier that allows for some type of text alerts. Please be aware there are some that do not. And I think those are the two. Yep.
Great. Thank you, Jen. And then I do want to point out, we did get a question of how do you use a text alert? I do want to point out on Bandu's account on Jen's screen really quick. Jen, if you could just kind of highlight that email button up there next to non-resident for me. If they are set up for texting, you will also see a text button right there where you could text that individual. Texting can also be done through rosters. If you would like more information on that, please email us at support@recdesk.com. And we would be happy to guide you through that process or provide you a few helpful articles on that. All right, Jen, we can move on to the new material.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to pick on my abominable snow monster today. And I'm going to scroll all the way down because now you will notice that there is something new. It says remove login credentials. Now I'm going to pause here because I'm going to use my favorite example of why this is a really important thing to have. Some of you are very well aware that the parents will create a profile for their child first. Thus, the login ID is stuck on that child's name. What also happens and tends to happen is invoices and payments will default to that child's name because the login is connected to that child. Now, it's a bit complicated to kind of disconnect that. However, now, no more complication. You are going to be able to remove it. But in that instance, do yourself a favor and copy that login ID because you can remove the credentials from one person. This is a little backwards since Bandu is technically the child of the household, but we're going to go with it. Edit the profile and scroll down to create online ID for RecDesk community site. It is pausing me because this does not have somebody there, so I'm sorry about that. Now I can paste that user ID and I can give them a first-time password. Now here's the thing. I do not need to give them this password at all. After I hit save, because I did that correction, I can then click this button to send them a password reset email. That way they can just choose their own password again. Now, do we have any questions or concerns about that one?
Yes, Jen, we do have a question. What levels is that capability of removing login credentials available at? Is it all levels, just director?
Assistant directors and directors. We did make a decision that it seemed to be something that to risk the associates having access may be something that you don't want, just in case they accidentally start removing them from people that should have their own login credentials. So it is going to be an assistant director and director role.
Perfect. Thank you, Jen. That is it for our questions at the moment.
All right. So that means we have reached the point of going over the new feature that I know many of you have been looking forward to. And this is for linking accounts. So now we're going to actually stay on the Bandu profile. And just in case you guys are wondering, it's basically a small Yeti. In case you're wondering where any of these names come from, we've got a lot of Yeti jokes today. So Bandu is going to be, in this example, part of a split household. Bandu lives with Abominable, but also has the ability for Everest Yeti to be able to sign them up for things, be it summer camp, after school care, soccer, any of the programming that might be going on. So we can link them. Now that link only allows Everest access to Bandu's information, not Abominable. And as you can see, we get these cool little links right here where it says that Bandu is now linked to someone else. And I can scroll down and I can see where they're linked to and go over here and I can see that they're linked from, meaning that they're not in what would be the site's primary address, for lack of a better phrase. The site is seeing the other household as being the primary one, and then this one being the linked household. Now, here's the super cool thing. In the situation of something like this, even if it's not a split family, maybe they just have many family members or friends that are assisting with the care for this child and helping with signing up for things. Your staff can give access to links to multiple households. So in this case, we're going to make the joke that Yowie Grasman is grandpa and helps do things. So Yowie is going to be linked as well so that they can sign them up. And as you can see here, now I've got multiple linked households. Now this is just one way to use it. And I am going to go over and show you the community site real fast. So you can see here, I'm logged in as Everest Yeti. If I scroll down, I can see that Bandu is a linked member. Now what that means, very clear right here. The details of this member is being shared with my household. Head of households, by the way, will also receive roster information. So if at some point in time you notice that somebody has been made a linked household and they are not checked off as being the head of their household, please be aware they may miss out on some emails. But this is going to allow them to view the calendar for that particular linked household, to view that linked history, to see what activities they have going on, and some basic profile information. But even more, they can sign this participant up. So if I go now and I sign up, I can choose my member. Now, something I'm just going to pause on real fast. You saw my fee type automated to non-resident. That's because Bandu is a non-resident. Bandu, as the profile itself, is a non-resident, regardless of who they're linked with. I'll be able to sign up. And please, everybody mind, while I have to enter a terribly fake credit card number. And you'll see that registration was successful. Now, I also have the ability to put my linked household member on a wait list as well. And when a waitlist email goes out, it will email all head of households that are linked to that profile. Now, before we go over some other cool use cases that we thought of for linked profiles, does anyone have any questions?
Yes, Jen, we do have a few questions here in the chat on linked profiles here.
Yes.
Now, the linking itself, can it be done by the customer or is it only a backend or staff function?
Backend or staff function. For security reasons, it felt the safest to do this. Number one, you can ensure that your staff is selecting the right profile. Members of the public may think, oh, I'm trying to add John Smith as a linked person in my household. not realizing you guys actually have like 6 John Smiths. So it is safer for your staff to be the ones accountable for the linking.
Thank you, Jen. And then let's say we have a split family situation. How does that work for the payments if they both have a linked child? Do the payments show up under one household, both households? What does that look like?
So here's going to be the way that I can clearly state this. If Abominable signs band you up and they're the one that pays, the invoice and the payment is in Abominable's name. But if Everest signs band you up, it's Everest's name on the invoice and Everest's name on the payment. So if you do the household financial report, it is going to break down that Everest did the payments on the things that they signed band you up for versus what Abominable signed them up for.
So thank you, Jen. And that does it for the questions at the moment.
Did more come in before I go into the next possible use case, or do we want to ask? Wait a moment.
We have another one on the financial questions here, kind of piggybacking off of what you're saying. So once again, going back to that split household, and we'll just say household A and household B. If household A signs up the child, can household B pay that invoice?
So here's going to be the thing I want to be very clear about. If we have parent A who signs a child up and they did not pay, I'm going to assume that you have some type of setup where you allow that to occur. Now we're going to go into 2 pieces. Number 1, you have to decide whether, or you have to know, is this something where the other parent is going to pay it in full? Or is this other parent only accountable for 50%? I know that's the super fun stuff on your side, but you guys know how it goes. If people want to pay this remote from home, you do have the ability to create a payment plan with 2 payments. So it does an even 50-50 split. Now here's going to be the thing. Because the invoice goes to one household, whoever's name is on the invoice is who's going to also go into the payment. So some organizations may say, we're going to send this to parent A. Parent A makes a payment, and then they edit it, change it to parent B, and then parent B makes the payment. That way it stays in their name. If you're using a shared invoice link, right now we don't have the ability to differentiate between the 2 people who have made payments. We are looking into that as a day 2 type of release for this. If any of you have any feedback on this or how you'd like that to appear, please let us know. I know someone just suggested having the first and last name from whoever's credit card is entered being listed on the household financial report. So if anything like that is really what would be best suited for you, that's the type of feedback we're really interested in, so we can build that in to really work best for you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen. And for any suggestions like that, please go ahead. You can always email us at support@recdesk.com so we can document those. Thank you. All right, Jen, let's go on to a couple of the other use cases.
All right. So we're going to get a little bit jokey with this, and I don't know if any of my organizations are with me today, but I actually made this situation earlier. I forgot, however, to do some things, such as removing them. Hang on, everybody. Will we just have fun and make this a little bit quicker?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also see a raised hand out there. If you could just type your question in the chat, we'd be happy to help you out there.
So I'm going to go back to that the profile that I want to start off on. We're making some very bad jokes. We've got Professor McGutterall here. Now I'm going to edit this name for the household to make this an organization. This is going to make it searchable. Now, I'm going to call it House Cup, but we're going to make this as a joke. I know many of you guys are you work with group homes, you work with teachers, you maybe work with schools, or homeschools and situations, things like that, where maybe there is somebody who needs the ability to sign participants up for some type of programming on that level. And you want those of you who have that situation, such as the group home administrators or the private schools where it's a house parent or whatever the phrase may be at this time, you are able to have that house parent exist. The other participants exist in their own household, so that, say, if their parents want to be able to log in and see what's going on, they have their own login to just their child. They don't have access to anybody else's. And all you would need to do is, once you get all of the kids once you have all of those profiles made, just link them with who's going to be there in charge of them. And as you can see, I wrote the word house because I changed it to an organization called House Cup. That is a searchable field here. So I'm easily able to find it and link that. Now, that type of linking may also work if some of you work with organizations that are assisting in making payments for your participants. I can't think of any good examples outside of DCF and maybe some grant work right now. But those of you who may work with sports scholarship programs or things along those lines, if they need access to that information, you can provide it if you'd like, just by doing this link. Now, I'm sure we have a dozen questions, so I'm going to let you get into those now.
Actually, Jen, we are set on questions at the moment. Do you have any other scenarios you would like to show us?
Yes. Making a payment in-house is going to be something that I did forget to show you. If somebody comes in-house to do that partial payment situation, we're using that split household idea. Please know, in-house, you have the ability to search and find a completely different household. You do not need to limit yourself to just the drop-down because you have that search function. I did forget this earlier, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure I showed that.
Yeah.
So in-house, that part is really easily manageable. It's the online piece that I just wanted to clarify, that if you're sending the same invoice link out, that it's whoever's name is on the invoice will inevitably show on our reports. Otherwise, if anyone has other questions, I'm going to make sure that I show you a few things right now for how to get to our support center and to our resources.
Perfect. Thank you, Jen.
So right up here, we have our support center. This is a great area where we have everything broken up into certain categories. Now, if you have a question about something, think about using keywords when you're also searching for that idea. Something such as the word barcode is going to reflect a shorter number of topics. And you can click into this article. We've got some awesome related articles. Sometimes there's some little GIFs or photos that may be involved as well. We also have our resource center over here. If you have new front desk users, please let them know they have access to this area at any time. All of this is inclusive as well. Did not mention that earlier, and I feel that I should have, as we did get asked that question. All of these training resources are at no cost. We would love for you all to use them, and any feedback on how we can do this better would be super helpful. And the Builder series, this is great for any new assistant directors or directors to know how to build, or content management training for those of you who work on the staff who deal with the site content. We've got some awesome, helpful workflow videos here. These may be things you don't find in the support center that are more workflows that are just quicker in a video than they are to type. You'll have quick access to the PowerUp videos. We do tend to get the PowerUps posted by the next morning. Also, access to our latest release notes. Those of you who have been with us for a while, you guys always love looking at this list. It shows you just how much we've improved in this system. So always check it out. We do try to let your organizations know when we find out that whenever we do a feature that you've really been looking for, and letting you guys know that. But if you've had change of staff, we may have let the wrong person know. So just reach out to us and we can get that taken care of. And then, yeah, that's just another link to get you to the support center.
Thank you, Jen. We do have a couple questions here for you.
Awesome.
All righty. The first one on linked accounts. With a linked account, let's say the linked person is on a roster, will both households' information show up on the roster extracts?
They will not. And there's a very good reason for this. You have an unlimited number of people you can link a household to. So, well, the idea of the singular idea of just a nice, easy split household may make sense for something like that. When you start getting into situations where you're linking maybe both sets of grandparents, or there's really, 8 grandparents now because they got divorced years ago and remarried, and they're helping take care of the kids, plus the aunties and uncles and all the people that may get linked in. It is something that does not get exported at this time.
Thank you, Jen. And this next question, and still involves member profiles, just a little bit tangentially here. What would you suggest if somebody has a profile in their rec desk of somebody that has passed away? What would be maybe the best way to remove that profile from that household, or how to handle that profile?
This is a very hard one because for a lot of reasons, you may need to have that statistical data for that person for years after they have passed away. And I know that this is a very hard topic for a lot of people to hear. I don't want to get rid of those profiles, so please mind me while I just go to you know what? We'll use the worst case terrible scenario right here. So in a situation like that where you need to move, I would suggest moving them. And here's where I suggest moving them. In all of your sites, except for this one. I just realized we don't have test user in here. In all of your sites, we do have a test user profile. Last name is user, first name is test. This profile is something that we do at RecDesk on all of your sites, so that if you contact us and say, hey, we're having a problem with XYZ, and it's on the community site, we can log in as that profile and we can go through those steps and reproduce it to the best of our abilities. So moving it to our test user household is ultimately going to be the safest choice, because then you can still edit the profile and archive this member. You should archive somebody who has passed. That way it does not do any form of reach out in the future. It's just something that historical data is still present so that you still are able to fulfill any obligations that you're required to do. And this is all you have to do to archive. Just for those of you who haven't seen it, sorry.
No, that's great. Thank you, Jen. We appreciate you showing that. All right, Jen, is there any other new material that we have to show?
That is all the new material for today, but I can tell you all, thank you all for joining us for this Power Up. I know this one and the last one, we had hit record numbers of participants that joined us for these meetings, and we've got some great new releases that will be coming out. I'm gonna actually stop presenting to make this a little bit easier. great new releases that'll be coming out to you all shortly. So please pay attention for the next PowerUp. And if you have any questions or need anything else, please let us know by reaching out to support@recdesk.com.
Yes, thank you everybody for attending. That does wrap up our new material for today. We will be hanging out for a few more minutes to answer any questions. And here is a great question, actually, Jen, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen one more time. They're asking about how to get RecDesk information for, like, let's say daily operations, and maybe if there's a great resource somewhere that we could point them to.
To do what? I'm sorry, can you repeat it?
Yeah, if there's a resource for staff on day-to-day operations and how to use the system.
Under resources, this is going to be your front desk user. These are going to be all the videos that they need. This is the complete front desk training. They don't need to watch that unless you're really using like everything in RecDesk. And I just word it that way because you may confuse them if you tell them to learn about memberships and you don't use memberships. So they can come here, they can see how to make an account, sign somebody up for a program, put them into a membership, how to use the check-in module, making facility reservations, point of sale, how to find an invoice and take a payment at a later date, and how to run the end of day reports. Now, if anybody needs more than those, they may be building with you. They may be a little bit of a higher level. And under RecDesk Builder, they can sign up right here for the RecDesk Builder training series. You do have to get your name and email submitted, and our staff is very quick to give you access to that piece of the system. They'll just reach out to you after you take a look at it, just to see if you guys want to do any follow-up training. We do recommend any new staff take a look at those videos first before meeting with somebody that's a member of our team, just so that then we can be truly training you for your uniqueness and your unique differences versus you potentially realizing it was in the video and you just hadn't reached that part yet. I'll keep my screen shared in case more questions.
Yeah, in case any more questions come on. Jen, do you have any tags in that system by chance?
I definitely have member tags.
Okay, would you show a quick member search and how to search by tags?
Of course. Under member list, please note this particular show advanced piece is the same piece that works in your bulk email campaigns. So when I hit show advanced search, I have a tag called vendors right here, and then I just check it off and hit apply search. And there are my 2 members that have been tagged as vendors in my system. And from here, I can export my members to Excel. This is just because I chose the member list. Please know if I was on bulk email, I'd have that option to be able to email them.
Perfect. Thank you, Jen. I always feel like that's a good thing to show out there, and it's a good reminder to have, especially because we did talk about tags today. So
Yes.
like Jen said, we'll be sticking around here for a few more minutes to answer any questions on the presentation materials today. For anything outside of that, please go ahead and email us at support@recdesk.com, and we'll be happy to help you out there on your individual or specific needs. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. As Jen had already mentioned, thank you guys. You guys have been a wonderful audience and really make these entertaining for Jen and I to do, so we appreciate interacting with you.